What if I told you that your health can be predicted based solely on where you live? This is Rochester, New York, the Flower City, home of the Rochester Red Wings and Genesee beer. While the greater Rochester area has a lot to offer, problems do exist. Food access in particular is a struggle for many communities, from 40 miles south of Rochester to right in the center of the city. Finding fresh and affordable food can be a major struggle.
When you look at in the community in Rochester and just nationwide, when you look at disparities in life expectancy, in health outcomes over zip codes, they draw themselves pretty clearly over poverty and over lines of food access. So in Rochester, in the suburbs, you can have children in the Brighton area that are expected to live 9 years longer than children who grow up in the kind of inner city neighborhoods of Rochester. And that's a direct effect of high poverty, of low food access, of poor education in those areas and nutrition education at large.
You can also look at it as, some of the rural areas that, we do go to, where a lot of people think that because they live in these rural areas, there's a lot of farms and things like that.
In Monroe County, the top crop item grown was corn for grain, comprising 28,482 acres of farmland. This is over 3 times the amount of acreage designated to vegetable harvesting. Since the majority of the farmland is dedicated to grain that goes to feed cattle, people are not growing fruits and vegetables for consumption, as we might assume. Finding healthy food isn't as easy as you may think. Not everyone has a car to drive to a grocery store, and the places people do have access to are severely lacking in affordable, quality options.
A lot of them, shop at corner stores where, they don't have, produce that is fresh and affordable.
Really, a lot of it tends to just be more a function of poverty than anything else. So a lot of people are trying to move past terms like food desert, talking about things like Flo was saying with corner stores, terms like food swamps, where there's a recognition that there is an overabundance of places to actually get food from, but all of the options are nutritionally deficient. Mm-hmm. Or talking, even more extreme with a lot of food justice organizations towards food apartheid, arguing that there's a system set up where there are just 2 tiers of access to food for different members of the community. That is largely a function of income and largely a function of race as well.
Right. We know of those illnesses that are out there and what people are dealing with. Doctors see more patients at the end of the month because that's when a lot of them run out of food.
And when you look at the leading causes of death of things like heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, hypertension, those things are directly tied into issues of food access, food equity, nutrition education, and whether or not those resources are being made available to the folks who live in the neighborhoods that are the most highly divested, who live in the rural communities that are the most highly divested. So it's a pretty direct ratio between the type of food that you're able to get, the type of food that's made apparent to you when you're growing up in your community, and your long-term health outcomes.
There are solutions to the problem of food access, and FoodLink is one of them. They house many ongoing programs that aim to combat hunger and increase the availability of affordable and healthy foods in communities.
We are in the backpack room, so this is a room where we make meals for kids. They're not meals themselves. We give them the components to make meals. We give enough for kids to make 6 to 8 meals on a weekend. So the reason that is because most kids that are in this program, they are part of the free breakfast, free lunch program, but on weekends there's no school to really provide that. So this is where the kids will be able to have those meals to last them for the couple days. This helps out kids 100% because when you are hungry, you're going to be more worried about your appetite, what's going on in your stomach versus what's going on the paper in front of you, especially if you're like in the ELAs and stuff like that when you're doing all your testing. It's very difficult when you're focusing more on what you're going to put in your stomach for lunch versus what you're going to be working on for that day. I love my job because I know that it helps out the communities that I live in, and it also really, you know, I see a lot of the people that get the benefits from it.
The mission of the curbside market is to be able to get fresh, affordable produce into the neighborhoods and communities that need it the most but have the lowest access to it. That is anywhere from what USDA defines as food deserts in urban areas within a half mile or a mile of a grocery store, or within areas that exist that are technically not USDA food desert by distance, but are large affordable housing communities that are inside of more well-off areas. On a really micro level, at the places that we go, curbside has become its own small family community at a lot of sites that we go to. We've been going to buildings at the same time, same place for the last 3 or 4 years, and people know us. They look forward to us being there. They expect us to be there.
We make it like a store. I'm always making sure the drivers say, know that, make it look like a store, make it look so that it's appealing to people when they come to the truck. We started in, just during the summer months, from July to November, and in 2013. Then the next year, we went from July to December. And then, the following year, because of the demand, we've been going all year.
A lot of these places, they can't get to a store, a grocery store. And a lot of these places in the city, they only have corner stores that sell OEs and fried pork, you know what I mean? So we're bringing vegetables into the city, and a lot of people love it. We have a very great response, and people eat food that they're not usually are going to eat.
It's just so convenient because I just had to go on disability from 40 years of teaching, and so I had to give up my car, and it's just such a blessing to have the curbside service where I don't have to stand at a bus stop. They have always exactly what I need, very fresh food, and the service is wonderful. They're very respectful of us. Even though we're poor, we have our dignity, and they treat us that way.
Very good prices. For 5 oranges, 4 apples, and a couple bananas, for $3, you can't beat that price.
I love to, just have that chit-chat. Like Tom said, we have customers that come and, when they see me in the wintertime, I'm all bundled up in snow pants, but when I'm out in the summer and I'm at a store someplace or out at a community event, they're like, hey, you're the snow pant lady, So it's, but that's that relationship that we've built.
It's important that large organizations like this can take their resources to move more in the forward direction than in the reactionary direction. Because if we can reach people where they live earlier on, if we can get them the kinds of fruits and vegetables that they actually want to cook, that they're actually looking for in their diet, it means less of them have to go to the food pantry at the end of the month to get the food that they have significantly less control over what they're getting. I know FoodLink's founder was really fond of saying, nobody woke up hungry without lots of other things having gone wrong in their day before that. And that the real work that we're trying to do at the end of the day is really community building work and anti-poverty work. And we think that curbside is a really powerful model to be able to get a little more self-control and self-determination to the people who live in the most underserved, underdeveloped, divested from neighborhoods. And if we can start to bridge that gap to get the food to them, to create employment opportunities for youth, and to be able to really engage with them on a level that they're then willing to take on other projects with their community with FoodLink. That's what we're trying to do.